Hi, it's Jane Mann from Las Vegas, Nevada. After the esthetician clinic is Skin by Jane Mann. So if you're ever in Las Vegas, Nevada, come visit me. I say that because I have been getting lots of YouTube visitors, and it's super cool. I love to meet you, and it's fun to see that you watch my channel and somewhat enjoy what I put out there. But I've had multiple requests for how I used the ANMA. And I do use it. It is a tool I use every single day. I also use the Lift, which is the microcurrent version of the ANMA. So if you have a microcurrent machine and it is compatible, shoot us an email and see if that's something you want to add to your beauty regimen. But anyway, right now we're going to talk about the ANMA. I always begin my ritual with good skincare, and you have to create a good foundation in order to get optimal success externally. So internally, it's always antioxidants, it's a good diet, it's a reasonable amount of sleep, and then good skincare. And I'd say good skincare, I mean that it's backed by science and studies and facts. I particularly like the Victoria Deanne. You can see that. I use probably every one of their peptides. I don't expect everyone to be that way, but I love a peptide because a peptide is like a chain of amino acids. It's like just a little group of communicators sending a Morse code to the cell to create a particular response. And in this case, I'm using Lift, which I'm telling you, this is a great product. Lift honestly gives the face like a tightened lift look. I put it on my thighs. I put it on my neck. I literally put it everywhere. I'm putting it on my face, my neck, and my décolleté right now. And I'll follow up with a couple different other peptides. One is elastin, because elastin, we stop making elasticity or the elastin when we get to be like 20 or 30, because we stop growing and the body kind of goes, she's not growing anymore. I don't need to make elastin anymore. But this peptide says, wake up, you need to create elastin. So I do that. And then I use the Pepti Hyaluronic. And hyaluronic is a real controversial subject in our industry. You have some estheticians that love, love, love it. And you have other estheticians that believe it promotes an inflammatory response. My school of education and mentors, I kind of stand in the inflammatory camp. Not every hyaluronic is inflammatory, but a majority of them are. That's why I like the Pepti Hyaluronic, because it's sending a little Morse code to my cells to say, you need to create hyaluronic acid. And so the hyaluronic acid, which is the kind of the plumping and the buoyancy of the skin, is my body is producing that. Whenever you use a peptide, you really have to put them on about a minute apart. Clearly, I'm not doing that right now because it would be like watching paint dry, right? So I'm just kind of adding it for the effect and the benefit. And then I always finish with the Neogenesis Recovery. And Neogenesis is a stem cell molecule, and it's a molecule. So what that means is there's a stem cell that has little molecules like babies, right? And these molecules do about 80% of the work of the stem cell. Why I like it is it's like these molecules kind of go up against the cell like a little Star Trek. And literally in the slides of the educational slides, there's like a funnel or a little tunnel that docks up to the cell. And it's got three little components. One is like a surveyor, one little molecule. It goes over and it checks out what's wrong with the cell. And then it kind of feeds information back. And then these other molecules come in to repair the damage that the cell may have. So I am a huge fan of the Neogenesis stem cell molecule. They make it in a serum, which is about 40% potency, and then they make it in the recovery, which is a 70%. I think it's nice to do recovery, you know, until that runs out, and then you kind of go with the serum and you can alternate back and forth. Anyway, that on to what we're going to be working on, the ANMA. I'm not using any type of oil because I like the tackiness my skin has, and I'm using that tackiness to kind of work with the tissue. When I work the face, I really start at the décolleté, and this is because we have a band of fascia here. We have lots of bands of fascia through our body. And when I say band, it goes all the way around or all the way through. So one is here in the décolleté. Another key band is right along this jawline through the occipital. And then we have the eye area going all the way back to the belly of the frontalis. So when I start out, I just really like to go any direction, because remember, if you Google fascia and the endoscopic kind of recordings of fascia, you're going to see there's a whole living architecture fiber network, and that's just kind of your extracellular matrix. You've got the fibroblasts, you've got collagen, all of that is in there, and we can go in and disrupt and kind of reorganize the structure of this tissue. We loosen up bound fibroblasts, and we wake up some cells and they start metabolizing again. So overall, we're just getting such a rejuvenation of the skin just by the body initiating this kind of repair cycle. So I'm going in, and you can kind of see I'm starting to get a little bit flushed, and that's circulation. Then I kind of come over to the other side. Oh, great. Let's see what color bra I'm wearing today. And I'm going down again. We've got a major lymph node like underneath. So that's why we always kind of go underneath that armpit. And don't be afraid to do it on your breast tissue. Just kind of as a side note, I just got a text from somebody that had gotten implants in, and one had capsulated, and she was doing it very lightly along her breast line and just really achieved superior results. So I'm going to go down in this area, and I'm going across, and I'm really kind of working in this. I might even, you can see I've got my collarbone right here. I'm kind of just taking one side of the ANMA, and I'm just kind of brushing it down. It's like I'm combing. And then I'm going to kind of go on both sides of that collarbone and up the neck as I kind of go up. Just kind of move that up and down. I'm going to hit that neck area. And the pressure that I'm using is, I like to label the pressures in a 1, 2, or 3. A 1 meaning like if I were just to kind of brush my hair back like that. Or 2 would be like I'm moving the skin along the tissue. And then 3, you can see I'm visibly moving that muscle. I'm using like a 2. I'm just going in there, and I'm kind of opening up that area, and I'm going into that neck, because in our lymph, we've got kind of like a little W that comes down, and then it kind of goes out to the side, and it goes down. And when these are clogged, a lot of lymph deposits, giving us kind of a double chin. So it's nice to kind of go right in this area. Now, if you've had a neck lift, sometimes one side repairs or heals quicker than the other. You can definitely, after your stitches are out, go in and just kind of gently try to loosen up that tissue, or you can seek out professional fascial release for scars. Things like those are always available for a more rapid and kind of a uniform healing. So I'm doing the neck now, and I'm really going in and stretching out in here. You can even see, even with all that I do, the corners of my mouth just kind of fall down sometimes. I mean, ladies, we're human, and nothing is ever perfect all at the same time. So when you start to see the corners of the mouth come down, a lot of times that's a tightness in here. And if you're really sensitive, you can start to feel where that is. So really light touch, kind of feeling, oh, I can feel right here. I've got like a little restriction. Now, just because I work it one day, it's not going to go away sometimes in one day. Sometimes it can take up to 20 times to do something. So I'm just going to kind of go in. I'm going different directions. I'm using both fingers on the inside of my jaw and on top, kind of going back and forth. And then I can just use, sometimes I like to use the back of the neck, kind of go this way. And I can use the thumbs. It's really kind of what feels good to you. And then I'm going all the way back to the sternocleidomastoid, and we have lymph nodes back there. Remember when you were little and the doctor, your pediatrician would like feel and go, oh, your lymph nodes are swollen and you must be sick. Well, that's because lymph nodes get swollen when they're overworked and so we want to just kind of brush that down, and you can just use the handle if it's tender and it hurts, or you can just kind of go and use the thumbs and kind of come down. Movement and massage are so underrated. You do not realize the benefit of the massage on the skin and the circulation. All of this flushing that you're starting to see is bringing nutrients to all of my cells. I'm releasing restricted cells under tight dehydrated fascia. One question I get is, how does the fascia get dehydrated in the first place? Well, age, environmental pollutions, to more wine than water. Sometimes we don't eat well, and that tissue starts to dry out. And the best analogy I think about is like a moist sponge and a dry sponge. So we can drink water, and that does some, but really the touch and the hydration helps. And a microcurrent is actually very good for dehydrated tissue. So I'm going in, and what I don't want you to forget is the back of the neck, because I love the back of the neck right up at the occipital. Now the occipital is kind of that hinge. When you're laying in the shampoo bowl, that dense piece of tissue or connective tissue you feel, that's your occipital bone and the occiput area. And so I love to go in that area. And if I'm kind of getting a migraine, many times I'll take the handle right in that hinge and I'll just strip it down, and I'll take it in and I'll kind of turn. It's like I'm creating space in this area and going down. It's a little tender in there. And when you have something that's tender, just kind of go back and just very, very lightly address it. And going in the occipital again, and then turning that handle. And I'm going to go to the other side and work that jaw. So I really just kind of migrate up. I start at the chest, I go to the neck, I go to the jaw, back and forth. I might do some sweeping. And then kind of a shocker, I go right to the temples. And I go to the temples because the temples get very, very tight, and the temples actually work in unison with the masseter. So I always like to loosen up the temples first and then come back down to the jaw. And I do that, especially try that if you're a clencher and you have a lot of stress in there. And I love to do the temples. And as I'm doing the temples, I'm looking at how dirty my hair is. I'm a little embarrassed. I'm trying this new thing, like not washing my hair. I mean, I wash my hair, but I'm trying not to wash it as frequently because it's summer and I get it highlighted and sometimes it gets so dry. So anyway, I'm going in this area and I'm just really going all the way back to the crown of the head, opening up the crown and all of that area, and just feeling the release. Sometimes, even if you have the ANMA in the car, and I encourage you to have 2 or 3 ANMAs personally. I have one in my bedroom, one in my car, one in my office, because sometimes it's just a nice thing to do. One of the questions I get is, how often can I do it? And I mean, you can do it 1, 2, 3 times a day. Just don't become obsessive about it. Nothing is good to become obsessive about, but just, kind of use it. How long do I use it? Honestly, under the routine I'm doing right now, subconsciously on film for you is my routine. Um, I go where it feels good. And that's one of the keys. I think sometimes we lose sight and we get so regimented. I call it like an ABC 1, 2, 3 program. When you work with tissue and you work with the body, um, when I touch a client, there's a certain feel process, and I go where the body wants me to go. And so while you're working the ANMA, I want you to kind of think similarly. I want you to think like, wow, this feels really good. And just, in the meditative kind of process, go where it feels good. Just kind of try it. There's no ANMA police, and there's no like right or wrong way. Um, I think the biggest contraindication or the biggest no is do not do it so hard because it's not necessary. Um, I'm a I'm kind of a student of a very light touch. So this is like I'm probably just going over at a level 2, just kind of creating a little friction and a little bit of change in the tissue and hydration. Then I'm going to come up. I'm just going to do the frontalis at the forehead. And it's just kind of a nice rapid movement. You can kind of see how I'm going. And then I'm going to take these back 2 fingers. I'm going to go in that eyebrow area. And God, I love that. It kind of is one of those things that hurts good. But you can see I'm anchored in that eyebrow and I'm still getting that frontalis. I'm just moving it a little bit differently. Going over the bridge of the nose. Under eye is where I do it a little bit more delicate. So I'll always kind of anchor and brush. And I am brushing at a very light 2 or a heavy 1. Just kind of taking that out. And I take that all the way out towards the ear where the lymph is. And then if I want, I can do that. But we've kind of already opened this up. So the body will really kind of take over the change that we're generating. Connective tissue has its own little system to remove the lymph and the excess fluid. So really just doing the process will make change over time. And I'm just kind of going back out, moving all of that, coming out. You can also kind of go underneath that cheek area and press in. And now that is like a 3, and I can kind of come down. If I really want to sculpt my cheekbones, kind of going in and down. And I can really feel that in my temporal mandible joint. And then I go back down in the jaw, underneath that larynx area, and back. And hopefully I kind of finish with the scalp. And that's it. When I'm done, something I like to do is I'll use a light stem mask or a Victoria DN mask. And it is so hydrating. It is so good after the sun, and using the peptides and the Neogenesis. This kind of pushes the product even more in. And then if I'm at the office, I'll use the light stem machine, or if I'm at home, I love the Omnilux Mask. It just fits on. It's like 10 minutes. And I'll do emails. And I did this all at my desk. So those of you that are at work, maybe you can't do this if you're at a corporate job, but if you're at home working and you're just doing Zoom calls, you could do it, and no one would ever know if you're on a conference call. So anyway, I love your comments. I love your subscription. So if you have any friends, just shoot them the thing and say, hey, will you subscribe to her channel? She needs more viewers. And I would really appreciate it. And let me know what you'd like to know about. I don't put out a bunch of videos because I don't want to just fill your inbox with stupid stuff. So I do respect your time, and I really appreciate your comments and you guys liking the content. So have a great day, and until my next video or until I answer your comments, happy lifting, and thank you.